The subject of research and development really has two parts. First, there's how much research and development a firm should do. How much money should they put in? How much time should they spend on it? Second, there is its effect on firms and industries as a whole. First, I will talk about interest rate and how that affects a firm's optimal amount of R&D. So, in general, the first question when it comes to research and development is how a firm is going to pay for it. Now, there are many ways for it to do it, but generally it either uses loans, bonds, retained earnings, venture capital, or personal savings. And that depends partly on the size of the firm and also how much money they have saved up. Bank loans, of course, are bank loans just like you or I or any other investor would get when they bought a house. They may have lower interest rates, different deals, but basically the same thing. Bonds are when a company will actually put out bonds just as the federal government does. Now, this generally only works for rather strong and well-known companies because often people won't trust companies that may not be around 2 or 3 years from now to pay off a bond in 30 years. Then there are retained earnings. Often when a firm gets large enough, it won't put all of its profit into the hands of its investors. It will often keep quite a bit to put into research and development as well as different ways of buying capital. Then there's venture capital, which is when a small firm will actually get more investors to work with it to have more money. So they will sell stocks, basically. Finally, there's personal savings, which is when a very small firm will use the savings of whoever owns it to run its research and development. The amount of R&D a firm will undertake is decided by two curves. The first one is the interest rate of cost of funds curve, which is in general a flat line which is placed at today's interest rate. The second curve is the expected rate of return curve, which is a downward sloping line similar to the demand curve. Where they meet is the optimal amount of R&D. Now, one of the ways that R&D increases profit is via innovation. That is by effectively shifting the marginal cost curve to the right, which is to say that at any given production level it costs less to make the same amount of goods, which effectively makes your total costs less and allows you to create more goods at a smaller price. The other thing research and development will do is create new products. Now, creating new products is often much more profitable, but also much more dangerous than innovation, which is streamlining the production process. The reason for this is that often new products won't take. For example, you could take new cola or various dot-com startups over the last 10 years. Often these don't take, and often they are a great loss of money. Now, there are multiple things that are important in whether a new product takes or not. In general, it's low price and also how much it improves over an old product. And finally, just its general utility, how much people want it. And the more a company can figure out how successful a product will be beforehand, the better it will do in the long run. The final thing a firm must worry about when undertaking research and development is the imitation problem. That is, that often research and development is quickly copied by other firms, making it much less profitable as the entire industry's supply curve moves to the right, as opposed to just that of the firm. If it's so easy to copy new products, there's always the question, why would firms undertake research and development? The answer is twofold: copyrights and trademarks. What copyrights allow you to do is to effectively say that an idea is yours and that no other company may sell it or use it in any way. This is used with M&Ms, Barbie dolls, and cars for years and years. The other thing is trademarks, which gives you an exclusive right to a name. I will now quickly explain how to make a graph for how much is the optimal amount of R&D expenditures. On the y-axis, you put the expected rate of return percentage as well as the interest rate percentage. And on the x-axis, you put research and development expenditures. Now, then you create two curves. The first one is a downward sloping curve, which represents expected rate of returns, and the second is a horizontal line, which represents the current interest rate, or the cost. Where these two meet is effectively how much money a firm should spend on R&D.